A large storm system is coming to the United States this weekend, and this will cause some problems, including the risk of severe weather, which includes damaging winds, large hail, and tornadoes. There will also be some heavy snowfall from the Midwest back into the Northeast, and then lastly, we will have a shot of cold air as we go into early next week to begin spring. So in today's forecast, we are going to break down exactly what you need to know about the weather that'll be impacting the United States over the next 7 days, and we'll begin with what's happening across the country today, and we do have plenty of cloud cover right now, stretching from Oklahoma back into the Midwest. A weak storm system is moving through the upper Midwest this morning with a little bit of snow, a little bit of rain, but nothing really that impactful today. We also have a large storm system back over in the Pacific Northwest, which is bringing lots of rain and snow, especially to the higher elevations, and there's also a storm just offshore of New England today that is also bringing a little bit of snow and rain. But overall, things are quiet for now, but as we go into late tomorrow and Sunday, the severe weather and as well as the snow is going to ramp up, and we'll have a large storm system, especially on Sunday. So the storm that we're going to be seeing this weekend will be very different from the storms we've had over the last week, including the major tornado outbreak on Friday and Saturday, and even the severe weather event that we had in the Midwest on Wednesday. The reason why is because if we look at the jet stream here, our trough is going to be located over the upper Midwest on Sunday, which Sunday is the day that we'll be watching for the main concern for severe weather and heavy snowfall. And so our winds in the upper levels are really back over in the Ohio Valley, but our risk of severe weather is going to be geared towards the Tennessee Valley and also back into the Southern Plains. So this means that we're not going to nearly have as favorable of an environment for a tornado outbreak, for example, but I do think we're going to see some significant damaging winds, some large hail, and then also the potential for a few tornadoes. But generally speaking, this is not as favorable of an environment for severe weather, which is very good news. However, there still is a risk, and we'll talk more about that here in just a second. I do want to point out, as we go into the long term, we're going to have a huge ridge that's going to be building back over on the West Coast, and what this is going to do is prevent big storm systems from entering the United States. So this is really good news here as we go into the tail end here of March. Originally, it looked like March could have a couple of big storm systems, but as long as this ridge is in place, it's going to really prevent any sort of significant severe weather events from happening. You can even see by March 31st, there really isn't much here. Maybe a small little storm system moving through the Central Plains, but again, not really any major severe weather outbreaks are in the near future, other than Sunday, which I wouldn't call that a major outbreak, but I do think there's at least a chance for some severe weather. Now let's talk more about the severe weather potential for the next few days, and we'll begin with tomorrow, which is just a small marginal threat of severe weather back over in Missouri and eastern Kansas, where there could be some large hail and isolated damaging winds. But the main event will be on Sunday, where we have a risk of severe storms from southern Kentucky back into eastern Texas, where there will be some large hail, scattered damaging winds, and also a few tornadoes. I think our main area to watch for tornadoes will be from the Texarkana area back into central and western Mississippi, northern Louisiana, and southern Arkansas, but nonetheless, we could still see a couple of tornadoes outside of that region. So throughout the rest of today, there will be plenty of rain and snow back over in the Pacific Northwest, and once some of that energy moves over the Rockies and also through the Pacific Northwest, it'll eventually form into a more powerful storm system as we go into late Saturday and into early Sunday. This is by Sunday morning. There will again be some isolated severe weather in Missouri. This is mainly going to be during the overnight hours with some damaging winds and hail being possible, but again, it's a low-end risk. We'll be dealing with heavy snowfall back over in the upper Midwest, anywhere from northern Wisconsin back into North Dakota. Eventually by lunchtime, all that snow is moving across the upper Midwest, and we'll be dealing with some showers and isolated rumbles of thunder across the Ohio Valley. Not really much severe weather there, but eventually as we get closer to the evening hours, that's when we should start to see some storms fire off. Now keep in mind that this severe weather risk on Sunday should be more geared towards the late afternoon into the evening hours, and it will continue into the overnight. So we're mostly going to be watching for a risk of severe weather after sunset. This is eventually by around 9 o'clock or so. Storms are going to be ongoing from Kentucky all the way back through northern Mississippi, and then storms will start to fire up even a bit further off to the west, even into Texas, as we go into late Sunday evening. But keep in mind that this risk of severe weather is more going to be a line of thunderstorms. We think that there's going to be a mesoscale convective system, which essentially means a line of thunderstorms where there will be some large hail, a little bit of damaging winds as well, and then the potential for a couple of tornadoes embedded in that line of thunderstorms. Eventually, as we go into Monday morning, snow continues in the upper Midwest and back into the Northeast, and then our threat for severe storms is going down. I do think there could still be a few isolated severe storms on Monday back over near the Gulf Coast, but generally speaking, not really that significant of a risk, and snow will continue Monday afternoon across parts of New England and also back through Canada before it eventually clears out on Tuesday. And then behind this big storm system, some cold air will be moving into the northeast as we go into Sunday and Monday. Eventually by Tuesday and into Wednesday, we're dealing with above average temperatures essentially anywhere in the Great Plains and all the way back through the West Coast. Colder than normal weather will continue in the Ohio Valley and Northeast on Wednesday. And eventually by the later half of next week, things become a little bit more uncertain, but we'll continue to see a lot more cold air, mainly back over in the Midwest and the Northeast, as many more storm systems will be moving through that area. Even though they're not very powerful storm systems, they will still bring some cold air out of Canada. Warm air will be building as we go into Friday and Saturday of next week back over in the Great Plains, which should eventually allow for a big weather event to happen. But for now, we are going to focus on the storm system that is happening this weekend. But before you know it, we are going to have another large storm, and more than likely that will be in April. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel for the latest updates whenever that new storm is looking a bit more likely. And this is the chance of you seeing greater than 3 inches of snowfall this weekend, and the odds are very high in northern Minnesota, central and northern Wisconsin, and northern Michigan, and same thing back over in New England. So overall, you should see a little bit of snow this weekend. This is the current thinking in terms of snowfall accumulation. If you are in northern Wisconsin, you have a much better chance there of seeing 3 to 6 inches of snow. Upper Peninsula of Michigan, likely to see around 4 to 8 inches of snow, and northern Minnesota, somewhere around 3 to 6 inches of snow as well. If you're in northern Michigan, I would expect around 2 to 4 inches of snow, so be prepared for that. Again, not really too significant, but it will definitely cause a little bit of problems out there on the roadways. So beyond this large storm this weekend, we'll be dealing with a quieter weather pattern as we go into the middle and end of next week. This is by Wednesday. Notice how there really isn't much happening out there other than maybe an Alberta clipper or two moving through the Midwest, a little bit of rain continuing in the Pacific Northwest, and perhaps even a little bit of moisture down in Texas, which, by the way, Texas desperately needs rainfall right now with the drought that is happening down there. Eventually, as we go into Thursday and Friday, we'll likely start to see maybe 1, maybe 2 more storm systems move into the northern plains or the central plains, and those could be our next shots of either snow or even the potential for severe weather. But for the time being, any severe weather between essentially Monday through Thursday or Friday of this upcoming week will be on the much lower side of things, if we even have any. So that's some good news. Not really expecting anything significant, but I do think as we go into early to mid-April, we are going to see a lot more big storms coming after that ridge starts to deteriorate back over along the West Coast. And there is some good news. Before the end of March, we are anticipating above average rainfall anywhere in the green, and this includes Texas, and Texas desperately needs rain right now with the drought they are currently in, all the wildfires that we've seen recently, especially in Texas and Oklahoma. So very good news there, and above average rainfall also in the forecast across the northern tier of the country. In terms of our temperature trends, we are expecting above average temperatures in the Great Plains and along the West Coast as we go to the end of April, and then back over in the Northeast in the Midwest, below average temperatures are in the forecast as a few more storm systems will be impacting those areas, which will be coming out of Canada, which means colder weather is on the horizon for many areas in the Northeast. Winter is not quite over there yet, but for the rest of us, we are pretty much in spring. And as always, thank you all so much for watching today's forecast. If you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below. And as a reminder, we still have our 1 million subscriber merch out for less than 10 days now until it is officially gone. If you want to check this out, it's at shopmaxvelocity.net. This is one of the best ways to support what we do here on this channel. We have signed hats, t-shirts, mugs, posters, and much more. You can check this out with the top link in the description below or at shopmaxvelocity.net.